Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night if you're listening to this right before bedtime. This is Formcast episode 110. And funny enough, last week when I was like, it's episode 108 or 109 or something, when I went to upload, I realized that I actually never uploaded a podcast episode the week before. And I don't know why. I think what happened was I went to camp that weekend. I was away for a bit. Monday, when I usually record everything and do all that, was a day where I decided to stream instead because I was away on the weekend. So I made up time for streaming, but in doing so, I completely messed up my normal routine of Mondays of my being my day off and record and all that kind of stuff. So here we were, skipping a week. Yeah. Shame on me. Shame on me. With that being said, this week, quickly, because I don't want to say there's not a lot happening, but there's a lot happening in the next couple coming weeks. I've had the pleasure, which I've announced to the community here on stream and in Discord and stuff, but not this week. What are we? We're the 17th. So not this week, but the following week, next week, in about a week and a half, I'll be able to be streaming. And finally, after it'll be 3 years that I'm partner in March. After 3 years of being a Twitch partner, I'm finally able to be featured on the front page of Twitch. Yes, that's right. The front page of Twitch, feature in the front carousel between a certain amount of, I think it's 8 hour time, but you're not always on the front page for that time. It's you'll either have have some time off and on. I don't know exactly how they really do it, but I applied back in January for the end of February, and surprisingly, to my actually shock, they responded and said that my application was approved, and for this day, that time, and all that kind of stuff, and yeah, and like what not to do and what to do and all that stuff too. But for the first time, I'm going to be featured, and to a lot of people, this may just be like whatever, like tons of people get on the front page of the platform and whatever. But when I really think about it, I was on the front page of Kick. Apparently, I never really looked into it when I first started streaming over on Kick a couple times, and all it really brought was like a lot of like empty follows, like just people following for no reason, but also just people coming in with like hate comments. There wasn't a lot of support from the platform itself. It was early on, but it just seemed kind of pointless. So what I'm thinking is, what's the purpose, right? But then when you look at it with Twitch, is every person, if you go to Twitch's homepage, every person that is on the carousel, now I'm going to say for the most part, because some, you don't know when they started streaming, like when their live stream started and all that. But as you go through the carousel, the majority of them have over 1,000 viewers. Some of them get even more. It depends on what time of day, it depends who's watching and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how exactly they count the view count. For example, I don't know if you would call it embedded views or whatever, but when you open the page up, if you're watching one of the streams that's on the main carousel, whatever one that you have open at that time, as it's playing, do you still count as a viewer even if you don't actually have their stream open? You're still on the home page, but it's playing. Sometimes those are are counted as views as well. So you just, I'm not entirely sure how it's counted. However, it's pretty cool because you have to hit certain requirements. And back in the day, I think they made it a little bit harder in terms of applying and getting on, because you had to have been a partner for like 6 months, an average of some, I forget exactly what the number was, and a few other things. And now it's a little bit more simpler, which makes it easier. And I think that they come in and maybe realize that after COVID and all that, some of the numbers dropped off, and there's just a lot more streamers, and viewership is maybe spread out a little bit more. So they made it a little bit easier to get on the front page or at least be able to apply. Now, I don't know what they really take into account when you apply. You kind of have to just fill out the form and tell them what your stream is about and all that kind of stuff, which is pretty simple for most people. Um, but yeah, so I mean, I applied and I got on. That's happening at the end of this month. And I see it as like an opportunity. Some people might see it as like, oh my God, like it's a one time stream thing to like, maybe get more subs or more donations or something like that. But at the end of the day, I think for me, anyways, it's just exposure that you've always wished for as a streamer. It's really hard to grow. It's really hard to be seen. It's really hard to find that exposure through other platforms. I mean, yeah, TikTok could go well, YouTube could go well, and all that. But if none of those people come back to your main platform, you know what I mean? If none of those people come back to Twitch for me, and support with their time and maybe any other ways that they want to, then the purpose is almost null and void, because you're not growing. It's like inviting people to your house for a party, but instead of going to your house, they're gonna watch from like FaceTime from a cafe, or they're gonna call their friend and ask them how it's going from their own home. Like it's just they're part of the party, but not exactly part of the main party that you'd like them to be. So with that being said, the feature is pretty huge. I have no clue what to expect. I also am preparing myself for like nothing to happen in terms of being live and just like the numbers not really being there from what like I've seen anyways. I've had people that have been featured on the front page, and they've definitely, all of them have gotten higher viewership and viewer interaction and stuff. And I really think I'm good at that, at interacting with new viewers and all that, especially with the community that we do have. Very, very, very good at welcoming people and hanging out with everyone and making sure that everyone feels, like they're just able to have whatever fun they want. So I think that's gonna be easy enough. But I'm also preparing myself for like what I kind of got on Kick was like just like any random person coming to like try and ruin someone's day. It's the internet, and funny enough, if you guys haven't figured this out, there's a lot of like unfortunately sad and angry people on the internet. So I'm definitely expecting some form of trolling or hate or just for whatever reason. So it's kind of like it's fun having these opportunities. I'm blessed and grateful to have the opportunity to be featured in the first place, and to have the community that showed like, hey, we deserve this. But it's also kind of shitty because you sit there and you're like, what could go wrong? And I know that's not necessarily like some people don't even think about that stuff, but as a realist, I'm just like, what could go right, but what could also go wrong? Because there's a lot of weird ass people out there. So, with that being said, I never announced that on the podcast yet, that's what's happening at the end of the month. So it's been a busy month. It's been a wild one, and it's already over halfway done because the month of February is a short one to begin with. It's got a couple few days less in the books there. So we're the 17th, and I'm excited for that. So we're going to see what happens. If you guys are listening to the podcast and you want to know more about it, feel free to come follow the Twitch page, the Twitch channel. If you guys are listening on YouTube and all that kind of stuff, feel free to, again, follow the Twitch page. It's LX Formidable XL everywhere, on socials and streaming platforms. That's the main parties over on Twitch, and that's where we're going to be featured. And the platform, I think, does a good job at featuring just different types of creators. I mean, for instance, you could have VTubers, music people, just chatting, gamers, and little old me, little guy from Northern Ontario, Canada, who I do not have like this 100, 200, 300 average viewer, count right now. It's all about maybe supporting the small guys out there, and I love that. So big props to Twitch for being able to give us the opportunity, but also good job on us for achieving that opportunity. So looking forward to that, and that's coming next week. So next week's episode will not be talking about that because it won't have happened yet. But the following week, probably going to be talking about the front page feature and recapping everything that happened there. If you guys are into hockey, Four Nations Cup is happening right now. Canada did get beat by USA, but I do believe they played today against Finland, hoping they can take home a win. All my hockey fans, USA Canada game started with 3 fights in 9 seconds. That's just hockey. Best sport on the planet. All right. Thanks for listening. Also, don't share opinions on what the best sport is. We all know it's hockey regardless. Thanks for being here. Appreciate y'all. And as always, we'll catch you next time. Cheers.